I am pleased to have now heard for many segments a guy I've read and now am even more indebted to for expanding my thinking. He is Charles Kraut. He is a constitutionalist, and he is running for the Constitution Party's nomination for President of the United States. Charles, thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us what a constitutionalist is?
A constitutionalist is a person who believes in the original Constitution as it was framed by the Founding Fathers. What's important about the Constitution is that it embraces natural rights. Natural rights are given by God. What this country has turned to in the past century is progressivism, which endorses and embraces human rights rather than natural rights. And over time, human rights have replaced natural rights, moving us dramatically away from our Constitution. So as a constitutionalist, my objective is to inform the American people of the value of freedom, of the blessings of freedom guaranteed to us by our Constitution, and to make them aware of the fact that we are moving sharply away from the Constitution in such a way as to lose many, if not all, ultimately, of our freedoms.
Charles, human rights sounds pretty good. So what's wrong with that shift from natural rights to human rights?
That is a fairly complicated discussion, but I'll boil it down to this.
Leave a sophisticated audience. Leave a sophisticated audience.
Okay. 1948, Eleanor Roosevelt, widow of their deceased husband Franklin D. Roosevelt, was appointed a special envoy to the newly formed United Nations in San Francisco, where she, as that envoy, made it her mission to bring to pass what's called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It was such a bad document. It took 1,400 votes in the General Assembly of the United Nations to get it passed, but it did pass. Just as an example of what's in the Universal Declaration, which has now become law in many countries around the world, including ours, Article 25 says basically this, and I paraphrase: every human being on the planet is entitled to free food, free housing, free education, free transportation, free medical services, free retirement benefits, free social services, welfare, whatever else they need in life, they're entitled to because they are human beings living on this planet today. The good news about human rights is that they are completely unsustainable. They cannot be provided to the extent demanded by the recipients. For example, we have the welfare state, which has been created as a result of the development of human rights. It is unsustainable for two reasons. One, it is unaffordable, and trying to take care of poverty only creates more poverty. And two, it disincentivizes and robs initiative from both the recipient and the person who's paying for those benefits, the taxpayer. The taxpayer finds himself, because he's paying so much in taxes, unable to send his children to college, to afford that second car, or any of the other things in life. So this is why wives and mothers have ended up going to work, and then they've got two jobs, and the husband has two jobs, and the children have to go to work to pay their way through college, and we have a student debt crisis. It just builds, all because of wealth transfers, redistribution of wealth, because of human rights from one to the other. And
by the government.
Exactly. Contrast that with natural rights. The blessings, the greatest blessing of our Constitution, of our republic, is that we are free to exercise our initiative and acquire property in accordance with our own genius, our own will, our own ability. Not that we have to share that with the government, but because we have the rights and we have a government whose sole purpose is to protect our rights so that we may accumulate property. Now, that's the exact antithesis of Marxist doctrine, and progressivism, which embraces human rights, comes directly from Marxism.
You said Article 25 has been adopted even in the United States. I don't get that. Even as expansive as Obamacare is, it falls far short of this Eleanor Roosevelt Article 25. What do you mean that we've adopted it?
When I was young, I used to be a stamp collector, and the saying was, when I was born, that the sun never set in the British Empire. Dozens of countries were formed by childhood in Africa, in other parts of the world, mostly in Africa, dozens of countries. And it was often said that they had all adopted for their constitutions portions of the United States Constitution. That's not true. They had adopted major portions of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights into their constitutions, giving them the force of law. At the same time, look at what we have done. This began with Woodrow Wilson nominally, but it really gained impetus under Franklin D. Roosevelt with the New Deal legislation, which all failed. It all was massively failed. All the New Deal in its totality never got us out of the Great Depression. It was World War II that got us out of that depression, and there was a great likelihood that we would have gone right back into a depression after the war because the New Deal programs had been complete failures. Then fast forward to Lyndon B. Johnson, Great Society programs. There's a new book out from Heritage Foundation called The Not So Great Society, and it reports with good documentation on the massive, utter, complete, total failure of the Great Society programs, focusing especially on Head Start. It has now been very carefully determined that of all the billions of dollars spent on Head Start over the past 50-some years, every penny of it has been wasted. We would have been better off doing something else with the money or not taxing the people in the first place.
You talk about human rights. Where is infanticide, aka late-term abortion, fit in protecting the rights of those humans?
Human rights, because let's go back a step. How did we get progressivism? What is progressivism? It's completely misunderstood, including by this audience. That's why I've been reading as much as I have for the past 12 years to try to figure out what it's all about. Progressivism, and I thank Matthew Spalding for this. He was at the Heritage Foundation at the time. He wrote the book, We Still Hold These Truths. Everybody, that ought to be required reading in every high school in the country. Wonderful book. 9 chapters about the Constitution, but chapter 10 is about progressivism. And on the stage today, one person kept objecting to what I was saying because he said I was talking about being progressive. I was not. I was talking about progressivism, which is an ism like socialism and communism, 2 completely different things. I'm not against progress, but I am against progressivism. So what are the 2 primary tenets of progressivism, as Matthew Spalding told me? 1, there is no truth. Now, think about that for a second.
There is. It's wrong.
If there is no truth, there is no God. If there's no God and if there's no truth, we have no basis for society, no foundation. Second tenet, all things must be kept in their historical context, which is to say that white men who wore funny wigs and owned slaves 200 years ago couldn't possibly tell us anything about how to live our lives today. So in 2 brief statements, they have thrown out all of human history, all of human learning, all human philosophy, everything of value, plus they've thrown God out in the bargain.
Why does a generally God-fearing America, I think it's still 55% religious, why do religious people fall for progressivism?
We're too kind. We're too tolerant. We're willing to say, all right, if that's their point of view, we'll let them promote it. Not realizing that they're not just going to promote it, they're going to make themselves superior and gain preferential treatment. I'll give you an example. I was living in New Hampshire about 20-some years ago, and the state legislature was contemplating a gay rights act. So they were having public hearings where everybody who wanted to could come and give their 3 minutes worth. I went. I was cut off after 1 minute because they didn't like what I wanted to say. But the gay rights lawyer was given an hour to promote his position. And he said something which surprised me at the time, but I have seen it again and again. He said, we don't want equality. Gay people do not want equality. We are better than you. Homosexuality is a superior lifestyle to heterosexuality. We want and we are going to get preferential treatment.
All right, that would answer my earlier question almost the wrong way. How could well-meaning progressives accept that? Because I thought they want equality of condition. And here's a spokesman for saying inequality where one group is elevated.
That's part of the conundrum of progressivism. Its goal is not to create some sort of a utopia that Marx talked about. It never was, never will be. Its goal is power. And by dividing society and enabling the creation of groups that receive preferential treatment, affirmative action, gay rights, this sort of thing that's come down the pike, the welfare state itself, Medicaid, we have divided society sufficiently that those who would stand for these things now have no voice. There are too many things to fight at the same time. We can't take on all these adversaries at the same time. All that we can do is vote for the lesser of two evils and hope that somebody is going to gain some common sense. It just hasn't happened.
I am with Charles Kraut. He is a candidate for the Constitution Party's nomination. They'll be meeting in late April, right?
Late April, early May.
Okay, and that is for the presidency. He is from Virginia. And can you tell us more? You mentioned the recent passage of something that I thought was done 40 years ago, the ERA amendment in your state.
Virginia just turned blue for their frame, but it has always been a progressive target because it is the home of Washington and Jefferson and Madison and Monroe. 8 presidents, as I say, 7 of whom we revere, the other one being Woodrow Wilson, our second progressive president. How did it happen? Virginia turned blue because Obama kept his campaign forces in the state throughout the entire 8 years of his presidency, working to turn the state blue. That plus the growth of the bureaucracy in Washington and all the people who live in Virginia who commute to D.C. every day was made that possible. And now that we have a very progressive Democratic governor and a very progressive Democratic House and Senate, a whole raft of laws have been passed very quickly without any meaningful debate that are really changing the fabric of this country. And what I say is what's happening in Virginia is making Virginia the California of the East and is a model for what's going to happen as soon as the Democrats gain control of the White House and the House and the Senate. So, for example, the ERA is one of the first things. It was passed without any debate at all. There's no need to debate it because they're all Democrats. They're all going to pass it, so they did. So Virginia became the 38th and final state.
Oh, they're not all Democrats. There's some Republicans in the legislature.
They have no voice.
So literally, they were able to run this through without any opposing debate.
I've watched a little bit of the so-called debate. It was non-existent. The Democrats would simply take a very valid question from a Republican and find a way to turn it around and belittle the person asking the question and ignoring the initial issue. Herman Cain talked about that, speaking of the Democrats in particular, I love this. I heard this at CPAC in 2010, I think it was. He said the Democrats commit sin. They shift the subject, ignore the issues, and call you names.
Worst of those names is Herman Cain doesn't get it, but the rest of us who have lighter skin are called racist. And it's become a weapon because nobody wants to be considered racist. It's such a vile thing. The left uses that, don't they?
And we have to develop a very thick skin.
The good news is they so overuse it that maybe our skin is now thickened because we realize it is an overused, silly term when coming from the left anyway.
I would hope so. However, what I'm finding is that American conservatives in general have simply gone into retreat. I have spoken to Tea Party, Campaign for Liberty, 9/12, Constitution Party groups on 119 occasions over the past 12 years. And I have for several years now since I've developed my second
I want to show that.
Will You Help Save Your Country? This is about how we fight progressivism. I've talked to people about getting involved in their children's education because if our children continue to be indoctrinated in government-run schools in progressivism, in homosexuality, in gender confusion, in Islam, and all the things that they're being taught instead of what they should be taught today, we're going to lose this country.
Now, you hit on government-run schools. Why is it so diabolical? It might be, but I want to understand the mechanism. Besides Common Core, nobody is telling teachers exactly what to teach or how to say things in the classroom. How does it coming through that teachers are doing that?
I can't really answer that. I've tried to figure it out because I talked to many teachers who are very interested in helping their students learn what they need to know. And I've talked
science and history and English.
Cursive writing, yeah. So I talk to teachers who say, I teach to the test because we have these standards of learning, which are mandated by the federal government. We teach to the test, and then in the little remaining time, we teach the really important stuff that they needed to know in the first place. But who came up with this agenda? Why do they teach Islam? Why is it if a teacher brings a Bible to school and puts it on her desk, he or she can be fired? I don't know where that all came about.
Is it possible that because they're all part of a union, it has some very centralizing socialist big government beliefs, that maybe it infects even individual teachers who otherwise might be actually pretty right-wing and they don't come through?
I think you just hit on the right answer.
Powerful union.
In the National Education Association convention just passed, they came out with their statement at the end of the convention with their goals and objectives. And one of the most important of them was that education is not important. We've got to promote a social agenda first and foremost, and education just comes
This is what group?
This is the Teachers Union, the National Education Association. That was their proclamation.
Hold on. They couldn't be using those words. That education is not important.
That's the actual language.
All right, what's your website where somebody can see this?
It's not on my website. Go to
Please get there.
NEA.org. It'll be right there.
Tell us about yours and how people can find out more about Charles Kraut.
My campaign website is my initial CWK, Charles William Kraut. So CWK2020.com. On the website, I have my position paper. I have my calendar of events where I'll be speaking and debating and so on. I have numerous articles, and I add to them as often as I can. And I have some press releases that I put forth as well. The most recent press release came in the wake of the Democratic debates, where I have challenged, and I know they won't pick it up, but I have challenged every Democratic candidate to demonstrate how their proposals will enable them to uphold, if enacted, will enable them to uphold their oath of office to support and defend the Constitution, which of course none of them can. So that's why nobody will take up the challenge. So on my website, I have all of that. I have access to my books, Will You Help Save Your Country, which is about progressivism and which is about working with our school districts to improve the quality of education. This is my earlier book, The Patriot's Guide to Taking America Back. I wrote this one before I met Matthew Spaulding, before I realized what a threat progressivism is to the United States. So this is pre-Matthew Spaulding, this is post-Matthew Spaulding. They're both important books because I don't write problem books. There are a lot of people who make an awful lot of money writing problem books, like Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and so on. And those books are 200 pages of what's wrong with America and 6 pages in the back of how to fix it. The problem is, and this was not raised during the first session of the debate, that there's no political will to do anything in those 6 pages. So my solutions are different. I believe that there are no political solutions remaining because it's the politicians that got us into this mess in the first place. So how are we going to extricate ourselves from the situation in which our politicians have placed us? The answer is right in the first 3 words of the Constitution. We the people. It is past time that we the people organize ourselves and learn the principles of the Constitution, because it's not being taught in the public schools. It's not even being taught in our law schools. If you go to law school today and you want to become a constitutional lawyer, you never need to read the Constitution because it's no longer relevant. It's been superseded by precedent.
So it's court cases, not the Constitution.
It's court
I went
cases.
to law school. I don't remember the Constitution. And that was 30 years ago.
Interestingly, I have a list of, and I should post it on my website, 236 instances in which the Supreme Court has reversed itself on constitutional issues.
It says they didn't get it right the first time, and we're not sure if they're right now. Charles, thank you very much for coming by. This is great. Have a great evening, and we look forward to hearing more from you from, where's your convention? Okay. Thank you all for listening. I am Mark Stewart. Thanks again.